What tactics do we use to peacefully reestablish freedom, the Constitution in the United States of America, as we go down the rabbit hole of tyranny? At what point do peaceful tactics no longer, until they're no longer viable?
You know, that is a tough question, because it's something I think we'll all have to face, and that is who should and when should you practice civil disobedience? And some even say, will it ever lead to violence? You know,
Paul believes violence is a terrible agent of social change. He believes if the government gets too powerful and abusive, a greater number of citizens give up on education, politics, and peaceful resistance to bring about change and drift towards violent resistance to the state. He frowns upon the use of what is called government violence, where agents are encouraged to break laws and sting operations or institutionalized forms of government violence are used. People must understand that we can't use violence to have our way over others, and nor should agents of the government have that.
Civil disobedience is a very important tactic. I mean, when you think of what Gandhi achieved, you know, in India, and what Martin Luther King achieved with nonviolence, but they also went to prison for this.
Paul believes patriotism is the act of standing up to the government when the government is wrong, and that resistance need not to be violent, but the civil disobedience that might be required invites possible imprisonment.
In order to make the world a better place, you have to reject the notion that you use violence and force to do it. You have to do it through persuasion. If we want to change the world, if we want to change the Middle East, if we want to change Africa, you do it by spreading ideas and through persuasion.
Dr. Paul said we should challenge bad laws non-violently, and he proposes we use boycotts to promote peaceful change, just as Martin Luther King and Gandhi did. He believed the greatest benefit of civil disobedience was the vast amount of publicity it can generate, because it serves as an educational tool so that one day we will stop ill-conceived wars and change bad laws.
Our foreign policy of military interventionism has brought us death and destruction to many foreign lands and loss of life for many Americans. From Korea and Vietnam to Serbia, Iran, Iraq, and now Afghanistan, we have ventured far from our shores in search of wars to fight. There is no evidence that this policy serves the interests of world peace. It certainly increases the danger to all Americans as we become the #1 target of terrorists.
Ron Paul believes in non-interventionism, which is a theory in which political rulers avoid alliances with other nations but still retain diplomacy and avoid all wars not related to direct self-defense. Intervention requires people to live in perpetual fear of supposed enemies, and if we are fearful enough, Paul says, we are willing to tolerate what might otherwise be regarded as immoral means to dealing with the enemy, such as the use of unprecedented violence.
I can foresee a time not too far off. Let's say we keep getting ourselves more involved in these senseless wars around the world, and they reinstitute the draft. You know, selective service is still there. I think a lot of young people are going to say, hey, what am I going to Georgia for? They don't even know where Georgia is in this country. They think it's Atlanta, Georgia, you know. But if they're going to send troops or something, maybe in a place around the world, and they're going to say, you know, maybe I ought to practice civil disobedience. Ultimately, conditions could get worse where people have to make a tough decision on whether or not they will practice peaceful civil disobedience.
When asked what is the most important moral issue for America today, Ron Paul replied, "We in the past have always declared war in defense of our liberties, or to help an ally. But now we have accepted the principle of preemptive war. We have rejected the just war theory of Christianity. This use of violence is a bad vehicle to move towards tyranny. We will always be rewarded through civil disobedience, according to Paul, because it comes from the inner satisfaction of pursuing the truth as they see it. When the people unite as one through civil disobedience and use nonviolent force, they become stronger than the government itself."